Hi everybody, I'm Gwendolyn Sterk of Sterk Family Law, and I'm here with our representative for our own office area in the 37th District, Margo McDermed. Thanks for coming out. Boy, times are changing for you. Tell us a little bit about your retirement.
Well, Gwen, I did announce my retirement over the last summer because we need to make a decision of whether we're going to run again or not by Labor Day so we can go out and fill in our petitions.
Sure.
Which then have to be filed by Thanksgiving.
Got it.
That's why, even though I still have a whole another year of my term left, I had to make the retirement announcement. And here's what my thinking was.
Okay.
In 2021, I will be 70 years old. Yeah. And I had to ask myself, do I want to spend another 2 years of my 70s in Springfield?
Right.
And my answer to that question is no. I love my job. I think I'm doing a good job.
Right.
A lot of people tell me that I am, and I enjoy the job so much. It's such a privilege to represent the district and to get involved in some fun issues like funding I-80, that kind of thing.
Right.
But there's a time for everything. I really believe that. Mm-hmm. And I will have been an elected official for 14 years between
it's a long time.
Township, county, and state.
Very good.
That's a good chapter of my life.
Sure.
I think it's time to move on to another chapter. Being a grandmother to my, the 3 grandchildren that I'll have by this summer, and traveling and spending a lot more time with my husband and the rest of my family. And that's what I'm going to do.
Well, very good. You don't think that everybody should make this politician thing a career, do you?
I really don't believe in career politicians. I think citizen legislator is the way to go. Mm-hmm. I don't think you need to be there for 20 years.
Right.
I would have term limited myself regardless, even if I had started younger. And I also believe that we have to make room, people of my generation need to make room for the next generation to come up and lead.
Right.
I've been a leader for decades.
Right.
It's time to make way for some other people and to retire and relax and enjoy the fruits of my labors. And, I'm going to trust that new people will step up and do a great job.
Now, I know in particular, one of the things that as a firm we've admired about you is your work to women's issues in particular, the changes that have occurred, the votes that you've cast in that area. Do you have a passion for maybe in your next chapter dealing with some of those issues going forward and perhaps some charitable work?
Absolutely, I do, Gwen, and I'm being very intentional, and I'm going to just put it out there to everybody. I am looking for the next thing to do.
Okay.
And it definitely would be some sort of involvement in the community. I've always been involved in my community my whole life. As a kid, I helped my dad campaign for library board, and all my life here in Frankfort Township, Mokina area.
Sure.
So I can't see withdrawing into my own little cave completely.
Right.
So
well, you've been in the workforce all these years, practicing attorney, and then your work as a politician. So I don't see that as a pure retirement either.
No, not at all. So I'm looking for the next thing. You need a director. You need a volunteer. You know where to reach me.
And I think that it would be a good thing for everybody to think about where people can use you and that next step, because I think your activism in our community has been an essential, and I know you've been a role model for many women in our area, and sometimes I think women in particular don't get that acknowledgement. So I do want to thank you for the years of service that have occurred and your willingness to be active in our office and in our community and to come and talk about new laws and about what's the philosophy for the changes. I think that sometimes we think that our world and our life and politics need to be completely separate. And I get that controversy. You get tired of the news and everything else. On the other hand, what is your role, or what do you see for individuals or younger people thinking about politics and their civil duties?
I think that part of being an adult member of a community, whether it's the Lincoln Way community or a community where you live that's other than this, is to give something back to the larger group. Now, there's lots of different ways you can do it. You can do it at school. Right. You can do it at your church. You can do it in the political realm as an elected official, or as, serving in some other capacity that's not necessarily elected. But I do think that it's really important for everybody to give back. That's the way I was raised.
Right.
That's the way my husband was raised. That's the way we've raised our kids.
Right.
My son's talking about running for office and just explains where he lives.
Okay.
So I think that that's what you need to do. You need to give back to other people in some way. I really believe that.
Right, and I think that's a good model to have, and I think that, unfortunately, I think some of the younger generation does not want to have that activism that maybe people have had in the past. What would you say to a young person? What is their civic duty or role, not just in helping the community at large, but do you have a vision of what their role is in a political sense?
Well, I'm not so sure I necessarily agree. One good thing about my job is I see a lot of people that are doing a lot of things throughout the state, and many of them are young people.
Okay.
So, and I remember when I was a young person and everyone, talked trash about us. So I don't usually go down that road.
Oh,
I think that young people will step up and they will, if we give them room, will fill it.
Okay.
But I think that you need to pick something that calls to you. Maybe you want to work with animals. Maybe you want to work with the environment. We see a lot of young people working with the environment. I think that's really important. Mm-hmm. Maybe you want to be, a straight up elected official. But there's, township deals with different issues than county.
Right.
Deals with different issues than state or with federal. So, where's your issue? What are you passionate about? Pick something. Volunteer at your kid's school. Right. One of the ways that I started actually goes back to creating the Mokina Education Foundation. Okay. Back when my kids were in Mokina Junior High. And look where it led. Sure. You don't know where it's going to lead. And as I had more time to devote to the community, as my kids grew and left the home, then I was able to expand my role from just being a money raiser and a supporter of the school efforts to, representing 108,000 people in the state legislature.
So I think your message is clear. We've got a duty, we've got a lot of opportunities out there, and I think that everybody's got to find their place in the world and do it, right?
Yes, I do.
Well, we appreciate everything you've done for our district and for being a strong representative of the community where we practice law. Thanks so much.